The sun was a malevolent eye, staring down at the endless expanse of the Texas Panhandle. Every blade of grass was bleached to a straw-like crisp, and the wind, when it blew, tasted of dust and despair. John McAllister knew the taste well. He'd been riding with it for 3 days, since the last waterhole had turned to cracked mud. His horse, a sturdy but exhausted dun mare named Dusty, was limping, her head hanging low. Mac himself wasn't faring much better. His throat was a raw, burning chasm, and his vision swam at the edges. He was looking for the Brazos, or any of its trickling tributaries, but the land had a way of swallowing rivers whole in a dry season like this. He saw the tree first, a lone sentinel, ancient and gnarled, its deep roots clinging to life in the parched earth. It stood like a dark silhouette against the fiery sunset, a promise of shade, if nothing else. He urged Dusty on, forcing a burst of speed from the tired animal. As he drew closer, he saw the figure huddled at its base. Not a man, a woman. His hand went to the butt of his pistol, a reflex born of hard living and harder experience. Women alone in this country usually meant trouble, either seeking it or having found it. He dismounted a dozen yards away, his boots crunching on the dry grass, and approached cautiously. She was slumped against the rough bark. Her dress, once a pale blue, now caked with dust and grime. Her face was smudged, her hair a tangled mess. Her eyes were closed, her breathing shallow. She looked like she was carved from the same dying earth. "Ma'am." Mac's voice was a croak. Her eyes fluttered open. They were a startling green, even in her weakened state, and held a raw animal fear that hit Mac harder than any bullet. She flinched, trying to press herself further into the tree. Her hands, surprisingly small and delicate, even covered in dirt, rose to her chest in a protective gesture. Don't hurt me," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Mac knelt, his knees protesting. He pulled his canteen from his belt. It was almost empty, but there was enough for a few precious sips. He unscrewed the top. The metallic scent of the water, even stale, was a luxury. "I ain't here to hurt you," he said, holding the canteen out. "You look like you need this." She stared at the canteen, then at him, suspicion warring with desperate thirst. Her lips were cracked and bleeding. "It's clean," he added, "such as it is." Slowly, hesitantly, her hand reached out, trembling. She took the canteen, her fingers brushing his. Her touch was feather-light, almost ethereal. She brought the spout to her lips, tilting it. A small trickle of water, then another. She coughed, a dry, racking sound, and then drank, slowly, carefully, as if each drop was spun gold. When it was empty, she handed it back. Her eyes were still wide, but the raw fear had softened to a fragile gratitude. "Thank you," she rasped. "My name is Sarah." "Mac," he replied, taking the empty canteen. The last of it was gone. Now they were both dry. "What are you doing out here, Sarah? Where's your party?" Her gaze dropped to her hands. They left me. The wagon broke, an axle. The men, they said they couldn't spare the water, couldn't carry me. They just drove on, said they'd send someone back. That was 2 days ago. 2 days. Out here, in this heat, that was a death sentence. Mac looked at the setting sun. "Fool man, you're lucky you lasted this long." "I found a small one, last night," she said, her voice stronger now. "Just enough to keep me from going under." "Where?" Mac asked, hope flaring. She gestured vaguely, a weak wave of her hand. "A mile or so back north. The direction he'd just come from." He swore, low and heartfelt. He'd missed it. Blinded by exhaustion. "You got a horse?" She shook her head. "It was tied to the wagon. They took it." Mac looked at Dusty, then back at Sarah. "1 horse. 2 people. No water, and the seep was behind them. We gotta move," he said. "Can't stay here. Night's coomin'. It'll be cold, but no cooler for thirst. Move where? North. To your seat. It's our best chance. My horse can carry us both for a while. We'll find water, then we head for the Brazos. She looked at him, really looked at him, her green eyes searching his. Why? What? Why are you helping me? Your canteen was almost empty. Your horse is tired. You could just ride on. Mac shifted, uncomfortable, under her direct gaze. Ain't my way, he muttered. It was a lie. He'd ridden past plenty of trouble in his life. He was a man who minded his own business, kept his head down, and didn't ask questions. But something about her, the raw fear, the abandoned look of her, it reminded him of something he didn't want to think about. Can you ride? He asked, pushing the thought away. She nodded. I think so. I'm just weak. Getting her onto Dusty was a struggle. She was taller than he expected, even in her weakened state. He had to brace her against him in the saddle, her slight weight, a fragile burden. He turned Dusty north, back into the deepening twilight. They rode in silence, the rhythm of Dusty's tired hooves, the only sound. The moon rose, a pale sliver in the vast sky, casting long, distorted shadows. Mac kept his eyes peeled, looking for any sign of the seep. He felt her stir against him. Mac, where did you come from? Wyoming last, he replied, his voice gruff. Before that, don't matter. It always matters, she said softly. He didn't answer. He just focused on finding the seep. He knew it was dangerous, riding at night, rattlers, quicksand, or just getting plain lost. But the thought of not finding that water, after what felt like an eternity, Dusty stopped, whickering softly. Her head dipped, sniffing at the ground. Here, Sarah whispered, her voice full of relief. It's here. Mac dismounted, his legs stiff and aching. He helped Sarah down, and she nearly collapsed. They crawled on their hands and knees, following Dusty's nose, until they found it, a small, muddy depression, barely a puddle, but water nonetheless. They drank, slowly, deeply, letting the cool liquid soothe their burning throats. Mac watched Sarah. She cupped the water in her hands, her face lit by the pale moonlight, and washed the dirt from her face. She looked younger now, the lines of exhaustion still there, but softened. Thank God, she breathed. Mac just grunted. Don't thank him yet. This ain't much. We need more than this for the Brazos. We stay here till dawn, fill the canteen, then we move. He built a tiny fire from dried mesquite, just enough to ward off the chill and any curious critters. They ate the last of his jerky in silence. My family, Sarah began, her voice quiet in the vastness. We were heading to a claim in New Mexico. Henry, my husband, he was so hopeful, said it was good land, good water. She laughed, a bitter, broken sound. Good water. What a joke. This country eats hope, Max said, staring into the flames. Spits out bones. You sound like you know, she said, her green eyes on him. He was silent for a long moment. I had a family once, he said, the words heavy and unused. Wife, a boy, ranch up in Montana. We had a good life. Until the snows came. Hardest winter in 50 years. Lost half the herd. Couldn't make payments. The bank took it. Then the sickness came. Smallpox. His voice broke. Took em both. Just like that. Gone. Sarah listened, her face filled with understanding. She didn't offer pity. She just nodded, as if she knew the weight of loss intimately. So you left, she said. Ran, he corrected. From the memories, from the empty house, from myself. You're not running now, she said. He looked at her smudged face and bright, unwavering eyes. Maybe not. They rested until the first sliver of dawn painted the eastern sky. Mac rose, his body still protesting, and checked Dusty. The mare was better, the water having revived her. He filled the canteen, a precious weight in his hand. "Ready?" he asked Sarah. She nodded, pushing herself up. Her arms still ached, and her legs were stiff, but there was a new resolve in her eyes. "Ready?" They rode for hours, the sun climbing higher, hotter. Max scanned the horizon, searching for any sign of green, any dip in the land that might signal a riverbed. He was a good tracker, but this land was unforgiving. Suddenly, Dusty stopped. Her ears flickered. "What is it?" Sarah whispered. "Horses," Max said, his hand on his pistol. "3 of them, coming fast." He dismounted, helping Sarah down. "Get behind that mesquite. Stay low. Don't move." He pulled his rifle from the scabbard, checked the load, and positioned himself behind a small, rocky outcropping. He knew it. This was the trouble she'd found. 3 riders burst over the ridge, silhouetted against a bright sky. They were rough-looking men, their faces hard and sun-baked. One, a big man with a red bandana around his neck, rode in front. "Well, well, well," the big man said, pulling his horse to a halt. His eyes raked over Mac, then darted to the mesquite where Sarah was hidden. "Look what the buzzards dragged in. And a little bird, too." Mac kept his rifle aimed, steady. "You men, the ones who left this woman to die?" The big man chuckled, a mean, rasping sound. "That's right. She was dead weight. And her husband, Henry, he was a fool. Tried to keep what was ours." "What was yours?" Max spat. "A homestead, a wagon." "You call that yours? This whole damn country is ours." "Friend," the big man sneered, "if you're man enough to take it, and you ain't. Not alone." "He ain't alone." Sarah's voice cut through the air. She stepped out from behind the mesquite,